What?
Hi there. We're back with another edition of Does It Bite? I'm Stephanie. This is Michael. How are you today?
Doing great. How about you?
It's good.
Yeah.
So we've got something kind of cool to talk about today. We're going to talk about wildlife.
Oh, okay.
And what I love about it is because, we spend all our time talking about bugs and insects. Yeah. And yeah, they bite, but they don't really have teeth. They don't have teeth like some of the wildlife that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
So talk about does it bite? And that's probably a homeowner's worst fear.
Yeah.
If they find they've got some sort of wildlife infestation, is there's some real teeth on that sucker.
Yeah, like teeth.
Teeth, and claws.
Yeah.
So it's more common than you would think that you get calls all day long about people who have various wildlife in their yards, in their chimneys, in the home.
Yep.
So what are you seeing in West Texas these days?
Yeah, and when we started our wildlife program probably about 3 years ago,
Yeah.
I was kind of skeptical.
Yeah.
Like
we're in the city.
Yeah, we're in West Texas. We're not in forest and we're not in swampland and nothing like that. So I don't think we have a wildlife problem. But we're like, let's try it out. Let's see what we can do. And it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. A lot of need out there.
I mean, amazing to see how much wildlife that we have in West Texas.
So what's that about?
It's the way, I believe it's the way that we're growing.
Okay.
As a region, because we're building houses where their houses used to be.
Yeah.
So now
we're
these
displacing.
Guys, they're coming into the cities and different things like that. So we're seeing raccoon activity, possum, foxes, squirrels, snakes, so many different other things. We're seeing predator birds. We're seeing, it's
so are people seeing them? Are they just popping up in the yard, or are they actually making their way in the home?
We are seeing all of it.
Okay.
And which is amazing because I've never heard of a raccoon being in somebody's house ever until we started doing our wildlife program.
Isn't that interesting?
It is really cool. And when you get to go to a house and they're like, there's a raccoon in my bathroom. I'm like, what? How did a raccoon get in your bathroom? And we don't know. We think he came through the chimney. We think he came through the door that was open, but it's in our bathroom.
Yeah.
So, that's always fun.
Well, tell me about some of these stories and some of the challenges, because I would imagine that every story is different.
Yes.
Every home is different. And sometimes it's not just one animal. Sometimes you've got a family that you need to gently, humanely remove out of the home.
Yes, so we did.
And make sure that you remain intact.
Right.
Because they are wild animals.
Yeah. So we did one home. There was 3 raccoons.
Okay.
And they all went into a chimney.
Uh-huh.
And it was a Saturday, and Brent and I and our wildlife guy at the time went to go get them out. So the raccoons, one of them, I guess, saw us and took off out of the chimney. Jumped out the chimney, took off running. Great.
He knew the men in black had showed up and meant business.
Exactly. So we had 2 left. So we went in, and this family had the chimney was in the master bedroom.
Oh.
The fireplace was. So those raccoons, we were able to get into the chimney and pull one of them out. So we were able to get in there. It's like
you physically just reach your hand in and pull them out?
Yeah, so we reached in there. We have our wildlife gloves on, of course, and we were able to grab it by his neck. And, it's fighting, and we were able to put a noose on and shove it into a cage. That was okay.
But you didn't hurt it.
No. And then there was the other one.
Okay. Did you give him a name? A name that you could say on air?
Joke. I'm like, this one right here, this one is infamous in Bug Tech history.
Okay.
So we got that one out. And I don't know, I might have told this story before, but we got that one out. Well, that one got loose inside the bedroom. So we're literally chasing it around this lady's master bedroom, and it's pooping and urinating everywhere, and it was
Did
crazy.
they make noises? Did they screech or cry? Are they loud?
Oh yeah, they hiss, they do everything. And we were able to finally get a noose on it. And Brent's like trying to get into the cage. We get into the cage. So we go out to go release it. If you enjoyed this episode of Does It Bite, please remember to like and subscribe. So we go out to release it. We let one go, it takes off. We let the other one go, and it takes off underneath my truck. And I'm just like, Is
this the same one that was giving you trouble before?
Yeah, that's the one that's infamous in bug tech history. So we were probably about maybe 15 miles away from my shop, and we thought it took off. Whatever. We go back to my shop. I park my truck. It's a Saturday. And Saturday night, I'm starting to get notifications from our alarm company that my alarm is going off at the shop. So I go check it out. Don't see anything. Doors are locked and everything. That next night, motion detectors are going off. I'm like, what is going on? Well, my wildlife guy went upstairs and saw paw prints in the dust up there. And it was that raccoon. It had Mission Impossible itself, like Tom Cruise, underneath my truck and rolled back to our shop. And that thing was setting off alarms for like 3 days until we finally called it.
He showed you.
Yeah.
He showed you, didn't he?
Yeah. I messed with his family, and he said, I'm going to get you back. So that way you had to come up here like at 2 o'clock in the morning and check this alarm system out. Yeah, he got me back. So
you've had raccoons in chimneys.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've got a lot of foxes in our neighborhood, which surprised me. Of course, I'm a fox too. So we love when our distant relatives come to spend time, but just joking. But I was so surprised by that. And I feel like in the 15 years we've lived we're right in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
I'd never seen them before, but they are early in the morning.
Yep.
They're out. So that's so interesting.
On the roof and all that.
So can they be dangerous for a homeowner? Or a nuisance?
They could be more of a nuisance.
Okay.
Foxes tend to bring ticks into the yard.
Okay, didn't know that.
Yeah, so they den. So when a fox tends to den underneath the shed or
a deck in the backyard,
yeah, they can bring ticks into the area.
Okay,
so it can be a nuisance. Catching a fox is hard.
Yeah. Ask my husband; he knows all about that. I hope that wasn't too much. Keep going.
So, you got to outsmart a fox, and it's hard to outsmart a fox. So, I mean, I think your husband knows that. So foxes are fun.
Yeah. So you've seen foxes. I've seen possums, which also surprises me. And possums, you don't want to harm a possum.
No, I mean, possums don't.
Aren't they super beneficial?
They are. They eat a lot of our insects.
Yeah.
In our areas, but folks just don't like them because they're scary looking.
They really are. They're super creepy.
Yeah, and we catch a lot of them around here. We really do. I had one gentleman who called us out, said that he saw a skunk. So, of course, I go out and we set our skunk trap. It's a special trap for skunks. Okay. And we set the trap. I go out there. We have monitoring devices on all our traps. Oh, okay. So we monitor 24 hours our traps. So if the trap is triggered, it lets us know through text and email that the trap has been triggered. So I set it out that night, trap triggers. I go out there and it's a possum in the skunk trap. And he said, I was looking for a skunk. I said, well, we call it a possum. He said, okay. So I took the possum and he said, reset the trap to catch the skunk. Okay. So, okay. That night, trap triggers. I go out there. It's another possum.
He's got a whole parcel of possums.
He has a whole parcel of possums in his backyard. We've never caught the skunk. I think he probably saw a possum and thought it was a skunk, but I mean, I think we caught 4 possums in our guy's backyard.
So what other types of wildlife are pretty common that you've seen?
Yeah, so of course skunks are a
Yeah.
big deal. We had special traps for skunks
Okay.
because we learned our lesson.
Yeah.
A
You don't
couple
want to.
times.
You don't want to put the gloves on and try to catch that
Right.
and try to
I mean,
carry that guy back.
they're super cute. They're just like big furry cats, you know. But you don't want to use a regular trap for
okay.
skunks. We learned our lesson.
Well, what is that? What was that?
Yeah, so we were using a bigger trap. You know, this is when we first started.
Okay.
You know, we're learning.
Yeah.
And we put a trap out for a skunk. It was a pretty big trap. Well, the skunk has to lift his tail to spray. You know? Well, we had a big enough trap.
He could lift his tail.
Yeah. So a couple times we've learned our lesson. Not to
So that's why you have a smaller, different kind of
Yeah, we have a different kind of trap for that.
This is really important. And I know we're a member of the National Wildlife Control Association. And what do you call it for short?
NACOA.
NACOA. And that really is about education, expertise, understanding the behavior of the animal, but also everything that we do is humane.
Right.
Because even though they are a nuisance, they have their place in the ecology.
Yes, they do.
So talk a little bit about some of the things, some of the best practices, some of the things that you and your team do to make sure that things are done appropriately.
Yeah, so we definitely, you mentioned NACOA. NACOA is one of our biggest partners in the wildlife control industry. We go to them for a lot of our information, our trainings, our vendors are all part of this NACOA network.
Okay.
And we are proud to be a part of that. All my team members are official members of NACOA. We look to them for a lot of knowledge.
Right.
Because we don't deal with inanimate objects that doesn't change. We deal with things that have minds, that evolve, that change.
And teeth and claws.
Yeah, and teeth and claws, you know. So we want to know how to handle these things properly and right, you know. So every year we go to NACOA conference.
Yeah.
The first year we went to was in Myrtle Beach. The second year we went to was in Houston. And this year's in Orlando. We go and we learn more about what's going on.
Yeah.
So here in Lubbock, we have a wildlife issue, but it's not as big as you would think in the Rockies or in the Appalachian Mountains, Ozarks. So those guys are there. Those guys we can lean on.
Right.
For information on, you know, how did you do this? We're seeing this now. Have y'all guys seen that? Yeah, we've seen it for years. This is how you deal with it. So it really helps us out just leaning on each other as wildlife control operators to be better at what we do, to be more humane in what we do, to be more effective in what we do, to learn how to deter instead of just trapping.
Oh, I like
how to
that.
keep them out instead of, you know, it's different things like that. So when it comes to NACOA, it's one of the most important things that BugTech does to help with our wildlife control.
I love it. And I love that education is continuing and you do everything in an effective, respectful manner, which is important.
Right.
It's important. So if you have wildlife issues, don't tackle it yourself. Remember, they have teeth and claws.
Yeah, trust me.
But if you need help, Michael and his team are the experts for that. So thanks for sharing about wildlife control.
Oh, no problem. No problem. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. And that's another edition of Does It Bite? See you next time.
Watch out for the fox.
What?
If you enjoyed this episode, check out more Does It Bite?